Welcome to More Fanime. I am your fan of more anime. Bow, bow, chicka, chicka. Oh yeah. And this is my part 2 review of the Dressrosa Arc of One Piece. That's correct. This is my part 2 review, give or take 20 so chapters, 732 to 758. I did stop at 758 because I realized there was so much to talk about and I don't want this video to be an hour long like the last one. So let's get into it. Man, this arc does not settle down in the least. I was thinking, okay, it's 102 chapters altogether, some shit like that. I assumed there was going to be a dip in action at some point, but ever since it started, it's been full throttle the whole way. I would say that this part of Dressrosa really highlights Usopp, or should I say God Usopp, or now I finally get the joke of Go D Usopp. And Frankie, that's right. Oh my god, this might be my favorite fight that Frankie has ever been involved in. And I feel like Frankie really hasn't had a lot to do, in my opinion, at least of importance, in a while. And his fight with Senor Pink is fantastic, and I don't believe it's even over yet. It hasn't even reached its conclusion. Frankie is a total G in this entire part of Dressrosa. He by himself starts and just draws the attention to him, like he has to fight multiple opponents at once just to keep people away from Usopp and the Tatas, or the fairies, and Nico Robin that are trying to knock out Sugar, the most overpowered, scary One Piece character villain that I've ever seen. One of the scariest villains in this series. Sugar should not be allowed to live after this arc. What she does to people, turning them into toys, is just terrible. It is the worst thing imaginable. It's a living hell. She turns them into toys, and they are now her slaves. They are basically the Doflamingo family's slaves, and they also can't tell anybody that they were human before. They also can't attack the family or any people at all. They're pretty much slaves, and anybody who knew them around the world, I believe, not just in this island, forget who they were or that they ever existed. And that is just brutal. And I really think they need to lock up Sugar, cut off her hands, whatever it takes to cut this power off. I don't even want her to die, because then her fruit will be reborn somewhere, like the flame fruit. And I don't think that this power should exist. It is just dark, and I just don't like it. The hobby fruit, I believe, it's super dark. To me, she's more dangerous than Doflamingo himself, even though he's highly dangerous and highly overpowered. So Doflamingo pulls out a thing called the bird cage during this arc, where he covers the entire island with strings, I'm assuming, because he's got the string fruit, and it keeps everybody out from coming in and anybody from leaving the island. And communication, they can't even use snail phones to contact anybody, because like even the Marines can't call other Marines. They're pretty much stuck here. And that's insane. Like, to me that sounds crazy, because they just introduced laws, restrictions, saying that the more he uses his room, the more stamina he uses, the more he uses his power, it makes him more and more tired. So he's got a limit. What is Doflamingo's limit? Otherwise, he is one of the strongest characters. If he can not only create this cage, this bird cage thing, and he can create a a string clone of himself that's pretty accurate, and he can fight on his own. How is this guy not an emperor? Like, that's insane. Why is he even worried about Kaido or Kato? How do you say it? Is it Kaido or Kato? Comment down below and let me know. Man, these 20 or so chapters are jam-packed with amazing moments. Everybody that's on the island kind of gets a moment to shine. I guess the best way to break this down is to do it per character. Let's talk about Sabo. Sabo is in the tournament, the Coliseum thingy. He ends up in the finals, which did not turn out to be bracket style like I thought it would. It was a battle royal of 5 people, the 4 winners, and then one of Doflamingo's family members who has the ability, the ripple fruit, which is ridiculous. So he can basically put ripples into anything, including like hard metal or whatever. It's very confusing. He's the guy who killed Rebecca's mom. And then we have Bartomeo, I'm going to call him, and the barrier fruit guy, one of my new favorite characters. This guy's a fan-freaking-tastic. And we got Rebecca and Lucy, or Sabo, and finally Burgess. Yes, Burgess. I really think this whole ending of the tournament could have been better if it was a bracket-style tournament, and it ended with, like, Burgess versus, I don't know, Burgess versus Sabo, if that's the way they wanted to go. Because they could have had, like, Rebecca lose to Sabo, and he could have told her, like, hey, don't worry, your town's going to be okay. I need to win this fruit, because it's my dead brother's fruit, and I need it. So you're going to lose to me here, and then I'm going to go on, and I'm going to beat Burgess. And then they could have had Burgess go one-on-one with Bartolomeo, and maybe he can find a way to beat his barrier fruit. I don't know the full limits on his fruit, but it would have been interesting to see just how strong Burgess is if he was able to break the barrier or just find a loophole around it and win. And then the finals would be Burgess versus Lucy. Lucy could win that fight, or Sabo could win that fight, showing how badass he is even without a devil fruit. Then he could face Doflamingo's family member and do the whole gimmick he does where he blows up the entire arena and he falls in the water and then he wins by ring out or some shiz. I did like the Battle Royal style. I did like Sabo's Dragon Claw. A little too on the nose, calling it the Dragon Claw attack thingy he does. He also has armament haki, which is cute. I think that the whole idea that he trained with Dragon, so he's got the Dragon Claw, so it's either a move that Dragon uses, or he made it up to, like, represent Dragon in a way. Is Dragon I'm wondering if Dragon's like a code name, and it's not his real name. It's almost too cool. It's like, my name's Dragon. You can call me Dragon. I'm a badass. You know, it doesn't seem like a real name. Maybe when we finally see Luffy and Dragon meet, he'll tell him his real name. It's like, my name's Steve D. Monkey. I don't know. So, Lucy, or Sabo, ends up winning the Coliseum, even though by the time that the whole Coliseum finals was going on, the whole island was uproared with shit going on anyway, so it didn't really matter. Sabo blew up the whole arena. They all fell out of the ring out, basically. Sabo gets the flame fruit, eats it immediately, and then immediately kind of knows how to use it, which seems sus, because it feels like he should have to learn that. Like, I don't know, he was able to, like, fly in and save Rebecca from dying or some shit. It seems suspicious that he was able to use the flame fruit so well at the very first chance. He did mention that it's still something he's working on, but he was very good at it. It is interesting that Sabo is the second best, or the second in command of the revolutionaries, and we haven't heard about him being alive until now. Because we did know, like, everybody knew who Dragon was when he was first mentioned, but nobody ever said the word Sabo. I guess no one ever mentioned the word dragon until Garp did, so I don't know, it just seemed like we would have seen a wanted poster or something. Maybe Sabo's really only known in the New World. He's been kind of over there this whole time, running the show when Dragon's not around. Since, Ivan, whatever. Sabo gets the flame fruit. Sabo ends up actually fighting Fujitora, the Admiral, for a little bit, holding him off because Fujitora wants to arrest the Straw Hats. But he also, Fujitora, might as well talk about him, he's badass. He's got some kind of gravity fruit ability, or his sword does, I can't tell. And he can summon meteors. He even summons a meteor while the bird cage is up. He's like, I'll break this bird cage. And it slices the meteor into multiple pieces. That threw me off for sure. I was like, whoa, this bird cage is no joke. You literally can't break it. Like, I think that even Zoro couldn't cut it for some reason, even though Zoro is a total beast and can cut literal steel. So Fujitora even says, word for word, that he wants to abolish the Warlord system, which is amazing, because the last review I did, I said, man, the Warlord system seems broken as fuck. The only Warlord that seems to be doing his job is Hawkeye Mihawk. Like, he just wants a chill life, so he's gonna listen to the government occasionally when he needs to, and then go back to his chill life and being the greatest swordsman. That's it. That's all he wants. But every other Warlord has had alternative motives. Like Crocodile tried to take over a country. Doflamingo did take over a country. Boa Hancock is uncontrollable. Jinbei turned on the government when he was sick of their shiz. And so on. Gecko Moria was doing some weird crap in Thriller Bark. So none of them are really listening. Or they were incompetent. So really, the Warlord system is broken, and there needs to be something else. And I agree with Fujitora that he should abolish the Warlord system, and it should have been done years ago. I understand it's going to take off one of the 3 pillars of the Marines or some shit. I don't know why. If they've got Marines like Fujitora hanging out, and they upgraded him to Admiral when Okiji left, why don't they have 7 admirals and 3 fleet admirals or something instead? Give us more admirals instead of more evil pirates that are keeping the balance of the seas. I kind of get what they're coming at with. It's like, okay, we have these expendable super pirates that are hard to manage anyway and hard to keep in prison anyway, so let's make them do shit for us occasionally. I get it, but they're causing people pain, and that's not good. Oh yeah, and Blackbeard and Law used the Warlord system to their advantage and didn't really do anything for them other than give them some hearts or turn an ace, I guess. But they immediately turned on the government, almost immediately turned on the government. And I guess Buggy, he's a pretty loyal warlord. He probably doesn't want to lose that status. It's pretty important to him. It'd be really funny if Buggy became an emperor at some point in the series, now that I think about it. Where is Buggy? I'd like to see him. I'd also like to see Crocodile, but now that the birdcage is up, I don't think we're going to see him, even though I feel like there's a lot of parallels between Crocodile's takeover of Alabasta and Doflamingo's takeover of just Dressrosa. There's a lot of parallels there. I almost want to see them fight again and see how strong that Crocodile's become over the last 2 years. I really like Crocodile is what I'm saying. So yeah, that's what Fujitoro's doing. He's dealing with Sabo. Sabo hasn't been doing anything other than that. He might get stopped by him. That's a big fight. An admiral versus one of the leaders of the revolutionaries. Fair. So that takes care of them. Nami, Brook, Chopper, and Sanji were not in any of these chapters. They are trapped outside the birdcage and are headed to Zoo, or Zo, whatever it is. So it's kind of nice that they're gone, because there's so many characters to keep track of. Usopp and Nico Robin probably have the most important thing to do during these chapters, from 732 to 758. Nico Robin, Usopp, and the fairies. Speaking of the fairies, the Tatas, whatever they're called, those guys really haven't interested me since the minute they debuted. I feel like I'm more interested in the toy aspect of this town other than the fairies. It almost feels like the toys are so important to this story that I don't give a shit about these little fairy guys. Even though I get what they're doing, I just kind of, when I read their bullshit in the manga, I'm like, okay, I get it, you guys talk weird. And that's fine, but I don't care. We want to save your little fairy princess, and we'll get you back to your lives the way it's supposed to be. I just do not care about their part in this story. They're really strong, and I feel bad for them, of course, but I felt bad for the toy people. They had a better story, in my opinion, and it felt like it was overshadowing the little fairy guys' story. Either way, they go in and they're trying to knock out Sugar. Sugar, this girl who turned all these people into toys, has some crazy overpowered devil fruit, and it's very confusing because they need to knock her out so her power reverses, right? How does that work? Like, can she not sleep? It would have been really interesting if the guy who stands over her, the sticky guy, if he, for some weird reason, kept her awake with an ability. Some kind of awake fruit or something. Like, if her power only works until she's knocked out, my assumption would be that she needs to stay up forever. But, I mean, I did Google it, and it says that, her power, she can go to sleep, but still keep control of her devil fruit power. It's different than being knocked the fuck out. So they were going to hit her with a spicy Tabasco ball. And I was just like, okay, let's see how that goes. And the whole time I was thinking, well, eventually Usopp is going to get that ball and he's going to shoot it into her mouth with his little slingshot. I was wrong. So they keep trying. The little Tatas try to fight her. She turns them all into little toy bears. And the minute she turns them into toy bears, they forget about them, which is dark as fuck. Nico Robin tries to attack her with her, neck-breaking hands, and Sugar touched one of those hands and turned Nico Robin into a Raggedy Ann doll almost immediately. And then Usopp forgot who Nico Robin was, and then reverted to his more cowardly self and started running away. And at first, I was like, what is going on? You spent 2 years training. Why are you doing this? Why are you running away? And it took me a while before it clicked. I was like, well, he forgot about Nico Robin, and Sniper King was born because he wanted to save Nico Robin. So all of his confidence kind of started with Sniper King. And if he forgot Nico Robin, maybe he forgot the Sniper King aspect of his life. Maybe he forgot that little bit of confidence he got built up when he saved Nico Robin by shooting those handcuffs across the Enies lobby area. So I forgave Usopp, because I was really mad at the fact that he was running away. And he was like, well, sucks to be y'all, bye, after pretending to be related to Noland and shit. I was like, come on, Usopp. And eventually he turns around, he changes his outfit, I believe, gets all ready to snipe, and he gets his ass beat for a while, off screen. He gets his ass beat, but eventually the little girl Sugar doesn't decide to turn him into a toy, which he would be the perfect Pinocchio doll, just saying. Decides to feed him the Tabasco ball, which I thought somehow he was going to give to her with his slingshot, and it's so hot that he makes this crazy looking face that scares the shit out of her and knocks her out. I personally, maybe in the anime it'll look better, but in the manga it was not impactful. Him screaming in her face and her passing out, because I just don't get that. I think that it would have been better if he knocked her out in some way. I get it, it was fine, and it was actually funny the second time he knocks her out, because later, before we get there, he's beat up, he's got the his ass kicked, but he knocks her out, frees all the toys, including Nico Robin. Nico Robin turns back to normal. All these people that were toys watched this happen, and now look at Usopp like he's a god. Even a giant who was in the tournament comes up and picks Usopp up, arms spray like extended in his arms, and then the light was shining behind him, and everyone's like, he's so holy, he is God Usopp. And I was just like, this is insane. Usopp even got the highest Doflamingo bounty of 5 stars, whereas Luffy only got 3 stars. For example, because he tries to turn all the people of Dressrosa on the Straw Hats, and he's like, get these people to me and I'll let you live and I'll give you a bunch of money. If you don't, then I'm destroying this whole town, which I have a feeling that old Doflamingo is gonna kill everybody anyway, or turn everybody into a toy this time and not fuck around. I wonder if she's got a limit to the amount of people she can turn to toys. It sure doesn't seem like that. She is OP. The only weakness she has is getting knocked out in a weird way. She's got to like stay focused. So Usopp is badly beaten, and then at the end of these chapters, around 758, he ends up saving the day because Sugar eventually wakes up later on, and she tries to get Luffy and Law, and she's like feet away, for like a person away from Luffy and Law, and Usopp knows about it because of Rebecca's aunt, who's there, who has the all-seeing eye fruit, and she can see Sugar about to touch Luffy and Law don't know who she is, surprisingly, because I think Law should know who these people are. And fucking Usopp shows off his observation haki. Oh my god, Usopp, from across the entire island of Dressrosa, he shoots like a cartoon of his-self, all fucked up, that was drawn by Kinemon's friend Conjuro or some shit, who has the ability to draw shit and it comes to life. Kind of like Sai from Naruto. Not a fan of the Kinemon little side story, but he was trying to save his samurai friend, if you remember. He saves him. Turns out he can create drawings that come to life. Usopp made him a drawing of Usopp's face that looks just like the crazy, scary face he used to knock out Sugar the first time. He launches this thing directly at her, and it knocks her out again at the very moment she was about to touch Luffy and Law and turn them into toys. Oh, that shit was amazing. I got so hyped. I literally jumped out of my seat as I was reading, because I was just like, okay, at least the scary face knockout thing had a payoff in the end, and I did laugh out loud when that was the weapon. I thought he was going to launch an actual, like, green star at her. No, not at all. And this dude had a sniper. Usopp was already good at shooting. Now he has observation haki. I'm not sure exactly. It also seems like observation haki is different for everybody, because Enel seems like he could feel everybody's feelings. Same with Kobe, but it seems like observation haki could be other things like eyesight, because like Usopp says, I can see Luffy and Law. He could see like their silhouettes through the walls. So he knew what he was doing. This is great. Now he can literally see through walls to hit targets, which is insane in the membrane. If Usopp can now shoot at angles as well, he's gonna be killing motherfuckers. That was awesome. God D Usopp, I'm here for it. Everybody in town thinks he's a badass. I swear, by the end of this series, people are going to think that Usopp was the captain the whole time. In Legends, they're going to say that Usopp was the captain of the ship of the Straw Hats. So, after that, after Usopp, we need to talk about Frankie. Frankie was a total G this entire time. Not only was he causing havoc outside, he ended up smooching this lady that worked for Doflamingo, and he was like, why did you kiss me? And she's like, well, if a lady pops in the middle of a fight between two men, there's only one thing you can do, or some shit like that. Oh my god. Frankie had such a good fight. And I think what the problem was for Frankie, for me, since the time skip, wasn't his new design. It was that new robot Frankie thing that he debuted in Fishman Island, which I feel like was hindering Frankie's development. Yes, he fought Baby Five and the guy back at Punk Hazard, but I feel like him fighting without that armor, without that robot body, really showed off how badass Frankie is in a fight. He's a thug. He is tough as nails, and they don't show it enough anymore. He's been so focused on his tanks and his bullets and his equipment. Oh my god, now that he's actually just fighting with his weapons left and his strong right, I am here for it. I love Frankie in this part of Dressrosa. This might be my favorite confrontation in this arc so far, as him versus Senior Pink. Speaking of Senior Pink, I think that this guy is fantastic. When I first saw him, I was like, this guy looks fucking ridiculous. He's got a pacifier, and it looks like a diaper or like a sumo outfit on. And then I looked at Frankie and I'm like, oh yeah, he's wearing a Speedo. What am I saying? Obviously, you don't judge a book by its cover in One Piece. And this dude is fantastic. Actually, he's not fantastic. He's hard-boiled. I've been saying that since I read that. I've been saying that to everybody that mentions a trait about somebody. And I go, yeah, he's hard-boiled. And then everybody wants to know what that means, where I got it from, and why it's not. It's amazing. The idea to call somebody hard-boiled is something I will keep with me forever going forward. I can't believe that this Senior Pink guy is just so similar to Frankie, at least in this part of the arc, and their fight was amazing. He had like diaper bombs, and Frankie had nipple light attack or some shit. That made me laugh so hard. But Frankie standing up to all these opponents at once. He smooched the lady that had the vacuum, who was going to vacuum up the Tatas who were saving their princess. By the way, they were saving their princess too, who was locked up, who I think has a power or something that might come into play later. Like I said, I'm really not interested in the fairies, and I'll probably pay for saying that. Somewhere down the line, I'm going to find out these fairies are so important to this story, like Laboon is, because I was not interested in Laboon until we met Brooke. So down the line, something's going to happen, and I'm going to like these Tata fairies, and I'm going to regret saying that. But right now, I could care less about them or their princess. I'm very happy for Rebecca and her dad, though. The fact that he went through all that shit. His wife died in his arms. He couldn't save his wife because he got turned into a toy. She forgot who he was when she died. Isn't that sad? That is so sad. He cut off his own leg when he was shackled to try and kill Doflamingo, and then was turned into a toy and forgotten probably even forgotten by Doflamingo, which is insanely sad. Then he spent years protecting his daughter and training her how to defend herself. It's so cool that he's finally up and at him, ready to fight, ready to rock and roll. Oh my god, that guy is awesome. Like Kairos or something. The toy soldier dude is badass as all hell. He had a great showing, and now he's back to normal. He fights on one leg, people. One leg! And he's so unstoppable. Zoro ends up being a total badass as well during this time, as he has a little confrontation, little fight with a giant golem man named Pika, who has a high-pitched voice, which I'm sure will be much more hilarious in the anime than it is in the manga. But I thought it was funny when Luffy laughed at him for his high-pitched voice, because he's a giant golem rock man. And Zoro's still trying to figure out how to beat him. But at some point, when the crew is trying to get by him, Zoro comes in with a 1,080-pound phoenix and blows its head off, and finally sees Pika's real body and is starting to get an idea of how to beat him. So that fight hasn't even concluded yet, but it's been absolutely badass. Zoro is so epic in this arc. I think Zoro on his own could probably beat Doflamingo in a one-on-one fight. I'm saying that right here. Zoro is much stronger than he's letting on. We still haven't seen the peak Zoro yet since the time skip. I'm saying that, and I believe it wholeheartedly. Zoro is always and will be in my top 3 favorite Straw Hats. I'm telling you that right now. Bartolomeo is amazing. He meets Nico Robin and tells her he wants to be her slave, which is hilarious. He's helping Nico Robin in the middle of a fight because at one point he gets shot down, and they have to fight some more members of the Doflamingo crew. I do not know how to say Doflamingo's last name, so I'm not even going to try. I love that Doflamingo loves his family. I thought there was going to be a point where because like Crocodile did not care about sacrificing members of his crew, but Doflamingo cares about his family. He even found out that Doflamingo killed his brother and his father, and his mother died when he was 8. Or 5 or some shit. So he's been through some shit. I still haven't got the backstory for him or Law. We did find out that Law came to Doflamingo as a child strapped with bombs, telling him, I don't have long to live anyway, let me be part of your crew. That's insane. I am so hyped for Law and Doflamingo's backstory, but I needed to get on here and tell you guys about my thoughts on Frankie and Usopp, and of course Zoro's amazing destruction of Pika's head. God, Usopp is fantastic. Frankie really stood out to me in this arc. I think that Frankie's fight with Senior Pink was more important to me than God Usopp's stuff. But I am stoked that Usopp got a power-up, and now he's got observation haki! Bow, bow, chicka, chicka. That's right! And I'm fucking hyped for that, because he deserves a power-up that isn't just more projectiles. I was gonna be really mad if when he shot that shot and that face of his was not a drawing, because it seems like he always seems to have the perfect bullet now in his bag. It's like, watch this, green star, wolf plants. They will scare those cats away, or some shit. Like, he seems to have the perfect plant in his little baggie, and that gets really old really fast and seems really convenient. I haven't even said the words Luffy yet, I don't think, during this review, which is insane, which tells you how much shit is going on. Luffy doesn't do a whole lot during these 20 chapters. He does get a lot of help from the people who competed in that Coliseum battle that have all been turned back to normal, including the Cabbage guy, Cavendish. I'm going to call him Cabbage. He helps give Luffy a ride on his horse after Luffy's little moosey goes down, which sadly... And the horse even gets he gets crunched by one of these nutcracker things that's fighting against them. That was at one time, I think, a Navy officer that Sugar turned into a thing. It's a whole deal. It's a whole deal. And I'm assuming the nutcracker things are gone now since Sugar got knocked back out. But Cavendish is teaming up, I believe, with Nico Robin and Bartolomeo. Bartolomeo actually uses his barrier fruit to give Luffy and Law stairs to get up to the top floor of this palace so they could fight Doflamingo. And that's where chapter 758 ends, is Law and Luffy staring down with Doflamingo and that sticky guy. And it's very epic, and it's very exciting. I wanted to stop right there because I figured the next few chapters are either prediction a backstory on Doflamingo or Law, or we're going to get straight into the fights and we'll get the backstory at the end of the fights. I'm not sure yet, but I'm hyped for it, and I'm so pumped. Luffy got to do some epic shit as well. I think he got to do some major damage to Pika. I think that he got to fight a couple members of the bad guy crew, but really he's been sneaking around and running a lot. Lots of running. He's actually been competing, sort of. He's been protecting Law because he was in handcuffs this whole time. These 20 arcs, Law has been in sea prison handcuffs the whole time. I did forget to mention that Rebecca's father, the toy soldier, after he turned human, I believe, cuts off Doflamingo's head, which turned out to be a string fruit puppet that he creates out of string, a string clone that he can make. Can he see through these clones? Like, it seems like at some points he's controlling these clones and he can see through them. Like, he can see Luffy and Law and talk to them with these puppets. And I'm curious, and it turns out to be the string fruit puppet, but he can see through it somehow. That thing is OP. This string fruit, he has found a way to make into the most overpowered fruit imaginable. And I can't wait to learn more about it, because this birdcage and these clones are insane. So my theory is Law and Luffy are going to fight the two Doflamingos, the fake and the real. Unless he can make multiple Doflamingos. One more thing to say would be Bellamy confronts Doflamingo, so maybe Bellamy is going to fight Doflamingo too. That would be sick, because he deserves a little revenge, because Doflamingo's been pulling him along, and it's not fair to Bellamy, my boy. I hope Bellamy joins the Straw Hats. My fingers are crossed. If I could pick anybody in this arc to join the Straw Hats, it would be Bellamy and then Bartolomeo. Yes, I would love to have Bartolomeo on the crew, but I feel like Bellamy has a higher ceiling as a fighter down the line, because he seems to have changed, and he's a really cool guy, and I like his attitude now. He seems badass, and I'd love to see the spring fruit join the Straw Hat crew, especially now that he has a newfound respect for Luffy and dreams and following your dreams and all that fun stuff. So I think I hit everything in these last 20 chapters. So I will get you guys with the next review next week, and we'll be in our part 3. I didn't want to break this up into 3 or 4 parts, but I didn't want to miss any fine details. Look at this. This video is almost 40 minutes long. The last one was an hour, and we're barely over halfway, or just about halfway through this arc, and I've still got another half to go, and we haven't even got to any of the major conclusions of the battles yet, and there's still so much to talk about. Frankie is the MVP of this part of the arc. Usopp's a close second. Totally. And Nico Robin had some major moments in this part as well. She's a major support character in this arc. I was so saddened when she was turned into a toy. I'm Mr. Morfetto. This is Morphanime. What did you think? Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. Leave me some questions, because down the line I want to do a little fan question video soon. And once I've collected enough questions from these videos, I will do one answering them and, whatnot. Bow, bow. Oh, yeah. I'll talk to you later.